Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I think that you can all hear me.
Yes.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome and good evening. And we would all like to thank you and welcome you to our third and final lecture for this year's series, the series Mapping the Past, exploring the intersection of mapping technologies and archaeology, of course. And for today's lecture, it is our pleasure to open with the talk from Abdera to Istros, rereading Thuc 297 through GIS. So today's talk brings somewhat tradition into dialogue with the new methodological possibilities. So by incorporating tools such as GIS, we are no longer limited to just sampling evidence. We are able to visualize, test, and rethink it in ways that were not previously possible. And for this talk, focusing on Thucydides and his history of the Peloponnesian War, this lecture aims to address the possibilities of the GIS-based analysis through a case study focused on reconstructing the ancient road network across the Rhodope Mountains. The approach combines information from ancient literary sources, archaeological and numismatic discoveries, and modern topographic data. And for this lecture, it is our great pleasure to have with us Professor Yulia Tzvetkova of the Sofia University of Bulgaria. And I will now give the floor to Dr. Despina Tsiafaki, who will tell us a bit more information about Professor. So the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Meliana. It's really a great pleasure to have with us today Yulia Tzvetkova, a very good friend, first of all, and a great colleague. She is an associate professor of ancient history in the Department of Ancient History, Thracian Studies and Medieval History at Sofia University. And she holds 2 MA degrees in history and in archaeology, as well as a PhD in ancient history, all from Sofia University. Yulia's research has really great range, focuses on Eastern Mediterranean, and of course, a great part of that is focus in ancient Thrace and ancient Thracian studies, with also a great chronological span from the late Bronze Age to the classical and early Hellenistic periods. She is very much interests and places emphasis on socio-political development, historical geography, archaeology, numismatics, GIS, and digital humanities. She's the author of more than 70 studies and 3 books, and the editor of more than 10 volumes. Her monograph, GIS and Thracology, Applications of Geographic Information Systems in the Study of Ancient Thracian History, published in 2018, examines the integration of digital technologies into ancient historical research. Her additional research interests include settlement patterns of Greek cities on the Thracian Chersonese, Thracian cult places of the early Iron Age, the radiocarbon chronology of the Thracian early Iron Age, and coin finds and circulation in pre-Roman Thrace. Dr. Tzvetkova is co-director of the archaeological excavations at the rock cut complex of Glouhiti Kamani in the Eastern Rhodopes, as well as several other archaeological field surveys in Bulgaria. She led or participated in more than 20 national and international research projects. And currently, she is the head of the Department of Ancient History, Thracian Studies, and Medieval History at Sofia University. Yulia, we are looking forward to hear to your lecture, and you may share your screen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Despina, first. And thank you also, Melpomene, for the introduction. Just a minute now to figure back. No, that was not the screen, of course, which I wanted to share. I'm sorry, second try.
Second try is the best always.
Yes, you have a
Just a minute.
third as well, so don't worry.
Uh,
We see
Here
your...
it is,
Yeah, okay.
Great.
or at least by me, it started.
Yes,
already.
It's
we
fine.
can
It's
see.
great.
Yeah.
And you are seeing the proxy. Thank you very much again, dear colleagues, not only for the introduction of my lecture and inviting me, but also for the organization of this very interesting topic with the focus of the Bulgarian lands and the achievement there through the GIS. So with our previous speakers in the past 2 months, it is making a good continuation and a series which I'm hoping to show the possibilities and the development of the application of GIS in the Bulgarian archaeology and a little bit history, which I'm now attempting to show you. GIS in archaeology in Bulgaria, as we saw already in the lectures of our previous speakers, and its introduction in the Bulgarian archaeology can be associated with several pioneering initiatives of several scholars like Christina Angelova, who should be mentioned probably at first place, and the project of the Center of Underwater Archaeology in Sozopol, who already 2008 to 12 has performed the first innovative and underwater LiDAR scanning of the aquatoria along the western Black Sea coast and the Bulgarian part. Of major importance is the Tunji Regional Archaeological Project. It with a key role there of Adela Tzvetkova, our good colleague and friend, whose initiative was welcomed by us, and to Adela we owe the introducing of the mobile GIS techniques for large-scale archaeological survey. The project was already partially mentioned in the lecture of our previous speaker, Petra Tushlova, so I'm not going further to discuss it, but this methodology of mobile GIS-aided survey techniques was further developed during the implementation of further our projects, as the rescue server of the plant infrastructure project of Nabucco implemented at the National Archaeological Institute in Sofia. And all these initiatives created a good network of collaborators within and outside Bulgaria, and facilitated on their part for the further development of an existing web portal of Archaeological Map of Bulgaria, or AKB as we shall abbreviate it, which was launched as a GIS AKB in 2025, and for which you always already have heard in the lecture of my good colleague Nadezhda Kecheva. So, while archaeology adopted GIS very quickly, and it gained good ground there, in the studies of ancient history, application of GIS faces multiple challenges. The list of these challenges can be long, so I will mention only a few of them, which are of particular importance of the further part of the lecture. At first place here, we can point out the problem with the quantity of the data, of the geographical related data. In most cases, this information, the historical information, is fragmentary, inconsistently provided, incomplete, and selective. Of course, due to the nature of the literary narratives. And it is also, of course, or not very, of course. It is scattered through the various sources, which may be even contradictory, the information of these sources. At next place, here come the concerns about the quality of the data. Historical data has a lot of and show a lot of uncertainties. These uncertainties affect the possibility of identification of the sites, like, for example, the debate of the identification of Istros. Is it Giska, Vodenica, or Pontul Levado should be associated? I'm not also going to comment further this question. It is also not the topic of the present lecture. The uncertainties are affecting also the geographic localization. For example, I can point out the narrative of Herodotus, who is reporting about the existence of the Thracian sanctuary, this Thracian oracle of Dionysus, which, in the words of Herodotus, is located in the highest mountains. That is the exact word. Which are the highest mountains will remain the question. The uncertainties are also related to the chronological attribution of the data and to which period it should be ascribed sometimes. And all these factors result in a low resolution in terms of GIS of the historical picture, making our attempts in reconstructing highly probabilistic, if you agree with me. Of course, in the frame of the current topic, the reconstruction of the road network can be illustrated and will illustrate some of these methodological issues. The research of the ancient road system relies on multiple and heterogeneous data which and sources which are listed here on the slide. So ancient narratives we include in our analysis, the basic information, the first information from the ancient narratives. They mention roads in the context of in diverse contexts, like, for example, the military campaigns, like these of Darius and Xerxes, like the campaigns of Philip or Alexander III, and so on. Epigraphic monuments and the milestones provide valuable information for the road traces. Archaeological data, on their turn, can directly reveal remains of road sections, bridges, or road stations. Or here we should also take into account the findings of imported artifacts, which can indirectly imply transport routes or interactions between regions. Historical maps from the more recent centuries should also be considered. They reflect the pre-industrial road network, and thus they provide information on features such as forts, bridges, paths, which may no longer exist. And of course, we use for the reconstruction of the road network the modern topography, where the topographical maps, the digital elevation models, slope, water bodies help to identify natural corridors, passes, and barriers, as well as the terrain-based validation of hypothetical networks. So, GIS offers a wide possibility to integrate all these mentioned and above geographical data into one place for storing, managing, and analyzing it. And although we are tempted to believe in its magical power to rule them all, There are a number of issues for which we should be aware before proceeding to the analysis. So, for example, the ancient narratives and their information is vague, or sometimes even they have a symbolic geography, lacking of coordinates, which are on the other hand of essential importance, of course, for GIS. The chronological uncertainties are not helping to produce a static picture, which is actually reflected and analyzed in the GIS. By the epigraphic monuments, they are often, as we know all, found outside of the original context as a spolia, or so their original placement and definite coordinates will remain unknown for us. The archaeological remains of roads are actually only segments of these roads providing this fragmented picture. Although we consider that the road network was inherited from the previous period, this road network and these road traces, there are arcade problems for dating them, whether they should be attributed to the Ottoman, to the Byzantine, or the Roman era. By historical maps, we meet some technical issues during the georeferencing due to the projection differences and distortion of the picture, and sometimes when the scale of these the digitized maps is very small, they are very small, the picture will be coarse, the limits this will limit further the details of the analysis. At the same time, some roads might be very schematically rendered. On the other side, the modern topography, the modern landscape, we should be cautious at this point, that it is already and altered by the modern agriculture activities, building of dams, mining activities, or urbanization. So for these may affect the creation of the digital elevation model and the resolution of the digital elevation model. The resolution of the digital elevation model also affects the accuracy of the produced further analysis of the slope and the coast models. And of course, there are multiple discussions about the preferences for the chosen resolution of the DM, and it depends on the scale of the analyzed region, whether it is a small scale analyze or we want to analyze a bigger areas and regions. So we should be aware of number of issues before proceeding with our analysis. With the regards of all the mentioned above, we come to the attempt of modeling the ancient road network on the Balkans. The methodological framework of the historical geography includes the retrogressive approach, where the starting point of the modern world and landscape are the initial point to build our further analysis. Geographical realities from our nearest historical past is represented through various legacy topographic maps, like here the displayed one of the Austrian, the so-called Austrian maps. Unfortunately, they are of different quality and meet further problems. For example, not all of them are digitized, or not all of them are georeferenced, and even if there are some which are already georeferenced, they need further processing, extraction of the data in a suitable for GIS vector format, like those shown on the slide, the so-called Russian reversed map, which were created by the Russian Military Topographic Service in 1878. Tabula Imperii Byzantini. We know all of this long-standing project of the Austrian Academy of Sciences. It provides a good picture of the medieval Byzantine past and the road network on the Balkans. And this serves together with another data from the even earlier period of the Roman period. So the road data about the Roman period from itineraries and maps like Tabula Peutingeriana are subject of diverse projects for their digitization, web rendering, like those shown here on the slide from SVA. Or sometimes this project offers possibilities for sophisticated travel route calculations, like the project of Orbis at the Stanford Geospatial Network model of the Roman world. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that exactly this one is further functioning as it is meant. It is designed, but the most recent project for which we heard already by our previous speaker Petra Turzhova, offers an extensive and improved data. The Itinerary project. Itinerary takes into account also regional archaeological surveys and studies, like in our case of the Balkan, at least the Bulgarian part, the publication of Mitko Majarov, and all gathered data by him. We'll come further again to this project Itinerary. For example, Itinerary dataset, as well as these of the Ancient World Mapping Center, which is based on the Barrington Atlas data, are published and open as an open digital dataset and available for download, which allows everybody to integrate them into other analytical research. I have just shown here as a comparison between both datasets, showing the percent of improvement of the data made by Itinerary for the bulk and for the picture shown here on the slide, where we see 80% of improvement, 8% more roads were detected and digitized through the very sophisticated procedure which is displayed by our colleagues involved in the Itinerary project. So the Roman network builds a solid database for analysis, but what can we do for the periods before the arrival of Rome and the construction of the permanent infrastructure? The here addressed case study of Thucydides is attempting to offer some suggestions in this direction. Thucydides 297 is a well-known place in Thucydides' work where he describes the dimensions of the Thracian kingdom. We learn, I have also highlighted some of the key points here. We learn there that the Thracian extended their power from Abdera towards the Pontus Euxinus and the Istros River on one hand, and from Byzantium towards the Laeans on the other hand. At the same time, Thucydides reports that the shortest road by land from Abdera to Istros takes 11 days for an experienced traveler, while from Byzantium to the Laeans it is 13 days, he says. Thus, he provides valuable information for the existence of a trans-Balkan route connecting the Aegean Sea with the Istros River region. It is not possible, of course, here to address all problematic moments of the translation and the interpretation of these texts, but some of them related to the present topic deserve our attention. While the starting point of the routes are the well-known Greek poleis of Abdera and respectively Byzantium, the endpoints in the Thracian interior are vague. The localization of the Laeans, also mentioned here in the text on the upper Strymon, is assumed and repeated again in Thucydides, in the previous passage of Thucydides to 6096. And obviously, in this case of the route from Byzantium, we are dealing with the future Via Diagonalis. Via Diagonalis, of course. That is not the case with the route of Abdera to Istros, as we don't learn from any other source of the existence of such a connection corridor. The mentioned and previous studies of road network through the Rhodopes, which are focused on the road system, some case studies like this of Domaratsky, while studying the site at Agiska Vodenica Emporion Pistirus, or connected with the Koprivlen, another excavated site in the southwestern part of Bulgaria, or Majarov's work, do not discuss any such road or do not detect any such, not at all speak about this model. For this reason, it is worth attempting to offer a more detailed discussion. To summarize one more what we learned from Thucydides, there are actually two options to go from Abdera to Istros. One, of course, is by sea and by land. Here we'll discuss the latter option, of course. The only certain information we have about the journey is the duration and the starting point. Regarding the end point, the general consensus is that it should be assumed to be the mouth of the Istros River, given the sea route from Abdera to Istros discussed, parallel to the other route, even in the place in Thucydides. Respectively, the translator of the work, as the cited a couple of slides before, use this translation, and it appears directly in the translation that the road is from Abdera to the mouth of Istros, although it not stays explicitly in the Greek text. I will skip, of course, the whole geographic description of the Istros delta. It is not an estuary, it is a delta. And the belonging debate, which of each branches should be identified here. It is not also the part of the lecture. But this accepted interpretation, this accepted reading of the text led to some general tentative reconstructions of the attempts to outline the extent of the Odrysian kingdom, as shown here. Yet, even drawing a straight line on the map the extent of 11 days journey between Abdera to Istros provokes some reasonable questions, whether it is possible to be covered in just such a short time, especially compared to the other route from Byzantium, with regard of the discrepancies in the distance and the needed time travel. It looks like, as here in this table shows, that Byzantium is actually a little bit, if it is a straight line, a little bit longer, but it should take, if we consider the information by Thucydides, 2 days more than to reach from the one point to the other. So the next consideration, which result from the information of Thucydides, is what is meant by the phrase expeditious traveler. Should we assume an average speed for these expeditious travelers of 4 kilometers per hour, 5 kilometers, which is actually the average of the Tobler's hiking function, or 6 kilometers per hour? What is actually the day's journey? How long is used to walk per day? 8 hours, 10 hours, more, 24 hours, probably non-stop. I don't believe it is 24 hours, but these are personal evaluations. And in GIS, we should be based in some specific and precise data. We should also keep in mind that this road is crossing several, from Abdera to Istros, is crossing several major obstacles, the mountain ranges of the Rhodope Mountains, the Balkan Mountains, as well as several rivers, big rivers, even in the upper flow of these rivers, like Arda, Maritza would not be, or Hebros would not be crossed in the upper flow, but in the middle flow, where the river is quite bright, and probably Kamchia even in the northeastern part. So this may affect the advance of the people or the traveler going using this route, if this is so. GIS application for the road model are offered in multiple variants, some GIS-based, even some GIS-based web platforms and tools which they incorporate provide possibilities for finding directions between the 2 points, directions of a hiking route between the 2 points. These are the cases of the Komoot route planner and the OpenStreetMap, which are based on the modern surface, of course, and the digitized current situation of the paths, the walking paths. But even though they give a valuable insight for comparison of the journey and actually proof of the existence of such paths in the real world, so we can't skip them. Itinerary, on the other hand, is using the reconstructed ancient road network as far as the current research on this topic allows. And of course, we have, on the other hand, the specialized software like QGIS with the integrated functionalities of GRASS GIS and Saga, which offers independent scientific modeling with wide possibilities for integrating multiple factors which may affect the route model, like slope, visibility, land cover, hydrology, and so on. So on the next slides, I have put together, try to show to you some of these calculations, like those of Komoot. It calculates the route from Abdera to Histria, which we will take here as a specific point. endpoint of the journey. It calculates the route at more than 860 kilometers. And the algorithm of the commute offers average speed of 3.6 kilometers per hour, which will take 30 days if one walks 8 hours per day, or as on the platform there is a warning signs that it will take between 35 and 81 days and requires a very good fitness level. Expeditious traveler, probably, to city that should be associated with this. If you would like, you may follow this link, which is shown on the screen, and check on the platform by yourself the data provided, or even if you are eager, you may try the hiking path of this Hyperborean route. OpenStreetMap. OpenStreetMap calculates the route at 677 kilometers, which is doable in 151 hours. And itinerary, I have played also with, as Petra advised us the last time. Itinerary uses the reconstructed Roman ancient road network, but it calculates the route at 785 kilometers, which will take 190 hours for the journey. QGIS allows, as said, variety of spatial modeling. I have used here the 90-meter digital elevation model of the Rhodope topographic mission and used it by the analysis. The performed analysis are based only on the slope as a weighted cost surface. Not incorporating the rivers, as there are another level consideration which we should take if we do so. Using the weighted cost surface of the slope, it shows that the distance from Abdera to Istria can be reached in less than 40 days. The model displayed here corresponds to a distance covered for 8 hours day walk. And if we increase our speed, being probably in the concept of this expeditious traveler, and keep 10 hours walking per day, the history will be reached on the 12th day of the journey. The model path through QGIS Saga tool gives the shortest path model of 538 kilometers, which are doable in 114 hours. The path elevation profile, as shown here, shows a rugged profile naturally and expectedly. Although the highest point do not exceed 776 meters above sea level in the Rhodope Mountains. When and if we put on the map all the routes together, it shows that also the model of the OpenStreetMap falls also within the cumulative cost corridor generated in QGIS, which can be regarded as a validation of the GIS-based analysis. The same analysis and calculations were performed also for the other route from Byzantium to Delay and Santos Tremon, which I'm not going to show here, so you have to trust me about the numbers and calculations shown here in the chart. The chart, however, displays that all of the present-day routes exceed the QGIS Abdera model by at least 140 kilometers. While the Byzantine route behaves much more realistic in my view, or at least the difference might be easier to be understood and attributed to the present-day road system. So these observations and calculations give me ground to question the possibility to get from Abdera to Histria in 11 days, or even further if we assume that the endpoint is the mouth of Istros. I'm not questioning Thucydides's statement, but only our present interpretation of the text. And I hope that at least I have shown that it is highly probable that Thucydides is referring to another point of the flow of the Istros River, not these northeastern fringes of the route. This other point could be positioned considerably further at the southern parallel, which is more quickly and easy accessible from Abdera. Searching of this point is another subject, which I'm not further going to discuss here, but not to lose the audience and not to speculate with your patience. So at that moment, I will thank for your attention and I will leave. I remain open for discussion, your questions and suggestions and comments. So thank you once more.
Thank you, Julia, for this very interesting and stimulating lecture. I think it was really important for all of us and very useful to see how all this, we talk about the integration of GIS in archaeology and history, to see this through a case study and actually try to validate the authority of ancient literary sources and also meet the challenges. And it was very interesting actually to see that there are many challenges, many challenges, and that technology does not provide only one answer. We might have different options. So we would like to invite now our guests for questions about comments, anything you might have. You might write in the Q&A or in the chat, and you will get some answers and we can start discussion. Before we have, I have a question. I have two questions. My first question was why this case study was chosen. What was the motive and what was the purpose and the goal to accomplish what? And the second question is that how much you took into account the archaeological evidence. I mean, the literary information was clear, it was there. How about the archaeological material, imports, coins, and if they were also employed and to validate the model and the information?
Well, first, why exactly Abdera? Actually, it is part of my further researches on the road network on the Balkans. I mean, the pre-Roman antiquity. And I have collected and tested in GIS already several other options like Heraion, Apollonia route, which I have published in my book GIS and Thracology. And further, I'm trying to keep one by the next one by one, testing and searching through GIS all these mentioned routes which were reported in the ancient sources. And especially to see this place is of essential importance because of the extent of the Thracian kingdom. Should we accept it so, as it is tended to be interpreted in the modern historiography, or shouldn't we revise the extent of the Thracian kingdom to the northeastern borders? I have started with this subject Abdera to Istros already in 2018, but postponed it to the years after the COVID and so on. So was not able to publish it until now. There are a couple of next slides which I cut the presentation here because of the time. I decided that they won't be. We won't have any time to continue with them further because they are dealing in a further textual evidence, which will bring you further to another explanation. I have incorporated also the coin finds, but didn't show you here how they would look. The coin finds should be amended. I mean, the database of the Abdera coin finds, for example. These analysis which I have placed in my previous work on this subject were also only evaluating the coin finds from the inventory of Greek coin hoards, which is from the year 1973, and which is rather old, and we should consider also the recent findings to get more recent and better picture whether they prove or disprove this idea. And for the another archaeological evidence, I think that the AKB could serve as a good base to extract information from there and to include it into, I mean, the GIS AKB, GIS Archaeological Map of Bulgaria could serve as such a good base to extract the information of the
You mean about settlements and sites?
Yes,
being
contemporary
to see,
sites,
to figure the paths? Yes.
5th century BC. 5th century BC, at least which show some chronological materials from this side. Actually, it might exist such path connecting Abdera to Histria, as shown, as the model of GIS offers.
With the stop being always there, or to have alternatives for where the final stop from, instead of being there in Histria, if you identify or if you suspect other sites where the stop, the arrival would be.
I don't think that Thucydides meant exactly this route, actually. In my view, it is not doable for 11 days. It was another point on the Istros where we should search. And that is why...
And how, so maybe there, the archaeological map of Bulgaria might be useful in order to see which would be the different destinations. Yeah.
If you allow me to share again the...
Yes, please.
Screen, probably. Let me see. Aha, it will appear this way. I don't know whether you see my mouse.
Yes, we do.
Okay. We have Abdera multiple times included in another account with another travel routes. For example, it was attacked by the Tribaloi couple of years or decades later. So these connections between the northwests Bulgaria should be also searched. We have also, and that was in the slides which I didn't include it in the presentation, we have also the route mentioned by Ariane of the campaign of Alexander in 335, which starts from Philippi and ends probably here at Peuke, where we suppose, some people supposed to be identified somewhere in this direction, Peuke, around the major site of Zimnica in Romania. So I'm much more tending, and I have tested it, I have to say. But didn't show you at that point.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you if you test already other destinations. Yes.
Yes, this route sounds to me much more doable, especially Ariane, who reports that Alexander has reached to Hemus for 10 days, and another 3 days took further next from some supposed battlefield with the local Thracian tribes after that reach to the Istros. So probably, and we should here consider the speed of the Alexander's army, while the expeditious traveler of Thucydides should have done this route quickly. But anyway, from Abdera to history, in my view, it is not possible.
Yeah, so apparently that was not the final destination Thucydides had in his mind. That's actually very important information, because, you know, by excluding places, again, we gain information and knowledge. But I would like to ask, are there any other questions, comments?
I would like to make a comment. First of all, congratulations. This approach is an excellent example of using modern day tools in order to try to like somewhat research the things that we already know, because especially when it comes to the archaeology here in Greece, there are many times and many cases where the archaeological data are showing one thing, and then there are somewhat fragmentary parts of literary sources, and even though the data shows one thing, somebody might say, yes, but the source said that, so maybe you're somewhat mistaken, because like 3 lines of some historian said one thing. I'm saying it in a bit weird way, but it is very important to see both things, like join both parts of the information and see what we can extract. And this is a great example, because 11 days to 30 days, it's a very like obvious difference. And for that was great. That's great work. I would like to ask, have you considered the use of animals in any of your like calculations? I'm not saying that it would change significantly the travel, but have you ever considered that in your calculations? Like, because there's no exact definition of as in the part of Thucydides, there is no exact definition of that man. How is he equipped?
It should be a quick traveler. And I think that in the most cases, it should be walking on foot, not using any carts, horse, not at all. Horses, not at all. They are not used to use horses for traveling to
Yes, because the biggest part of the routes are mountainous, so being on foot is the expected way.
And also, but Itinerary and also other online tools they offer, and they consider also this option that some of the routes should be done should be used by someone who are moving with carts.
But still, it is a big distance. Maybe we should search for the stop in some other point, the end of the route. Yes, of course.
Definitely. I have discussed this the options with the situation with the stops because you are not able to travel non-stop to all these 11, 13 or whatever days. You should stay somewhere, probably on the under the free sky, or probably on some places. You may expect some specific stops, some settlements where you can spend the night, not only on the open air. These were extensively discussed to the other route, which I have modeled here between Heraion and Apollonia. The possibility with the stop, the day walking distance, the speed of the traveler, the kilometers passed. So a large number of considerations which we should take into account. And for ox carts or any other carts which we used, of course, the model should consider to use more level surface.
Yes, so it's
exactly
definitely
steeper
not
slopes
mountainous.
Are not.
Yes, yes, of course. Maybe perhaps it should be the project of some sort of experimental archaeology. Somebody some experienced hiker should start from Abdera and start searching the roads. There are a lot of people who are traveling here in the Greek part of the Rhodope Mountains, and we actually have a lot of information about the paths that they use. So maybe a trans-Greek Bulgarian project that takes a bunch of hikers and they can test these roads, because these roads are continuous. And from what I understand, you have also taken that into consideration, like paths that are used today as well, like modern roads and perhaps paths that hikers use. And because those paths are pretty much indicated by the landscape itself, they never stop being used. People move in certain corridors and throughout time. So yeah, it should be an interesting one.
But definitely, we should also test some possibilities for using the car transport, because these cases which took it to Thucydides reports or Herodotus reports, they are used probably for some special situations for quick communications between the parts. We know also that some of the roads were used as for traveling of as military roads. I mean, we should expect that there were large groups of people moving together, which also will decrease the speed. For example, such the observations and calculations on the text of Xenophon and his Anabasis offers a speed on the highways, they call it so, when there is a modeled or well-known road. The speed on these highways should be 30 kilometers per day of an army, and less than 15 kilometers when you go off-road, I mean, off the highways. So different situations which
should be
respectively to the situation, respectively to the information should be tested.
Yes, but it should be a very interesting project. Rhodope is a very beautiful mountain, easy in quotes, easy mountain to hike through, as opposed to
Yes.
other like mountain ranges.
Yes.
So if
Even
there
here,
are,
the eastern part of the Rhodope, it looks like not so high mountains.
Mhm.
Here somewhere should be this the highest point of the model. Actually, I was surprised that the model provided this opportunity, almost a direct
yes, it's
line.
quite
for
easy,
it.
and even in the Xanthi part, the roads are very. The modern roads follow the old roads, of course, and they're very walkable, in quotes, walkable. You don't meet a lot of obstacles. The obstacles go to the other side of in between, like above Stavroupoli and that place over there. It's still a quite easy range of mountains. And I think that's proven from the people that still live there, like very somewhat deeply in the mountains, but they move around very easily.
But as further there's been pointed out, we should consider all other information about the archaeological site
Yes, of course.
here or wherever the parts were modeled, and further to test
because
and validate.
it might provide some more feedback and alternatives.
Yes.
It's a pity that Zosia had to leave, because she could also give us here feedback. She left a comment. Thank
Yes,
you
I
for...
see it there.
Yes, you can. Okay, yes. Because it would be really nice to have here feedback as well.
Yes.
Are there other questions, comments?
Okay, we got a big one.
Yes.
Sorry, I saw that person. We have a quite big comment from Fatih Onur, and I saw some writing before during the lecture, and I was expecting it. So I'm reading the comment. Thank you very much for the useful talk. Here in Antalya, Turkey, we are planning to create a GIS-based reconstruction of Alexander's route through Lycia. So your presentation was particularly relevant to us. Our datasets are almost identical. However, our project involves the march of an army, around 50,000 infantrymen, 6,000 cavalrymen, and numerous other individuals, including slaves and pack animals, through a mountainous region. We know the army passed through the region in winter, which would have affected the speed and logistic of the march. Alexander avoided some hostile territories or preferred different routes, which one would not normally pick if the intention was to advance peacefully. Therefore, there are many variables to consider. Some parts of your region are also similar to ours. So the question is, are there any specific points we should be careful about, or any suggestion to help us advance more accurately?
Well, thank you very much for this information. It is a very interesting idea and very interesting project, which I will be happy further if you can, when you are done, to share the results of it. Of course, many things should be further considered, and especially what I didn't mention during the methodological part of the work is exactly this point of the hostile and not hostile territories. If we have good information for the sources and the behavior, the socio-political behavior of the people, probably we can include it and model it and exclude respectively these parts from the route. But unfortunately here is not the case. In the most of the cases, actually, we don't have information about hostile or not hostile behavior. These are qualifications which are very hard to be quantified and inserted into the GIS, and to bring further when you combine the information from the vector information, and to calculate and to create the cost raster for the analysis. So it indeed desires much more good involvement into the sources, literature resources, and good possibilities for positioning and outlining the borders of these, for example, hostile territories to be avoided. Also, what we didn't consider, or is hard to consider, are the impassability of some regions due to the vegetation, due to the existence of flooded areas like swamps. I'm not aware how it might be in Lycia, but I know for Bulgaria that there were swamps. Unfortunately, we are not able also to include them into the model. I would suggest, and further, if I do something, and probably I will continue, of course, to do something more small-scale studies from closer points, modeling the paths in the closer points would provide a more precise picture with a large and more detailed digital elevation model. 90-meter digital elevation model probably is okay, but it would not reflect all variables and fluctuations of the surface. So usually these distances which I have discussed now of 500 and even more kilometers as a straight distance, you will receive very coarse picture, as we saw just a while. I would suggest to make it on parts, to divide the route in parts. I hope you understood my idea.
Did you have any palynological or vegetation, like archaeobotanical data to work with in your case? Or could you include it in your studies? In order for to help with that issues with how was the landscape, were there waters before?
Yes, 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 I know about this possibility. Unfortunately, it is another topic to create and to position with the geographic coordination and to bring a big database of palynological samples and to reconstruct in such large scale the vegetation of the region. So probably it is another subject of another international project
Yes.
for the Balkans to produce a good picture and to include it in the further analysis, GIS-based analysis.
Yes, because again, sometimes it's a factor that we don't always consider, and it did play a very important part. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is that apparently we need even broader interdisciplinarity.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yes.
We start something that it is interdisciplinary by itself. And while we're working with it, we realize that we need more disciplines to contribute. And this is actually really great, I think, because that way it advances research. It's all those things are things that we couldn't consider before, we wouldn't think of, and of course we couldn't put them all together at the same place and putting the same questions and the same goals. Any other questions or comments?
Just a comment from the chat, Fatih. Thank you very much for the answer. And they will let us know about the results for certain. when
And
that
actually,
comes
we
out.
are also looking forward
Yes, of
for those
course.
results, because it's very interesting route. We know this from the history and the literary information, so we really look forward to see results there too. Any other comments, questions?
I think that's pretty much it. It was one very interesting, very informative question.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Julia. That was very, very interesting. And I think it made us, your lecture, to think a lot. And it was really stimulating. So thank you very much for...
Thank you very much, Professor.
Yes.
And we
Indeed,
would all,
thank you very much. Yeah.
we would, of course, like to thank the people that came with us here today and for joining us for this lecture and for their lectures before our series. We're very thankful for the small but very hardcore core that we have created for GIS applications in archaeology. That's pretty much it. We will. You can follow us on our social media for the updates. And once again, Professor Tzvetkova, thank you very much for your kind contribution to our series. And
It was a pleasure for me.
Oh,
Thank you again.
Okay.
Okay. Have a nice evening, everybody. Thank you, Julia, again. Give our regards to all colleagues and friends there in Sofia. And we all look forward to see you all soon.
Thank you again. Have also a nice evening, all of you. And I hope that we'll see us somewhere on the route.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye, bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.